Okay, so Miele's got, I mean, we're just like rolling into some amazing product one after another. And I think a lot of you may already have heard a little bit about the G7000 because it's just revolutionary. If anyone's joining us, I'm Hannah. I represent IDS Seattle, and Diane is my co-host with the NKBA. And we're a little running behind, so I'm just gonna introduce Jared here. Jared is the Director of National Training. He's responsible for the creation of programming to educate the U.S. market about the range of exceptional Miele appliances. And Jared, am I pronouncing Miele correctly?
You indeed are pronouncing Miele correctly, which is the exception sometimes. So I appreciate that.
Well, let's get to it. Are you ready?
I am indeed.
All right.
Today, like we were just hearing, we'll be discussing the G7000 dishwashers, which the occurrence of this event really was just extremely fortunate for Miele, because this product is new to our assortment, and frankly, doesn't just create and introduce first for Miele, it creates first for the dishwashing industry. So we're really excited, and we'll talk about some unprecedented updates and innovations to our lineup. But before we do, I'll actually start to create a little bit of backdrop into how we arrive here. So in terms of Miele's history and the narrative that we have to really support so much of what we're doing when we introduce this never before seen technology is going to be something that really dates back quite a ways. So as you can see, there's a lot of highlights in terms of our history, and this is actually just being extremely selective about a lot of it. But starting with Europe's first electric dishwasher, all the way through putting a microprocessor in a dishwasher, we're the first ones to do that. So creating brains and programming so that dishwashers become more automated. We are the inventors of the cutlery tray, which nowadays most major brands have that third rack where you can place your utensils, but Miele is the one who invented that. And in fact, over time, it really became important that we were the inventors, because most other brands don't quite understand the entirety of the technology, specifically because, to be frank, that's the only place in the dishwasher where something that goes into one person's mouth and will eventually end up in another person's. And if you don't clean that properly and entirely, you're going to have some pretty nasty things occur. With us, it's not just about having a third rack, it's about also creating a really hygienic environment with 3 full functioning spray arms. Over time, we continue innovating the cutlery tray. We introduce handleless applications. And of course, with our G6000 EcoFlex dishwashers, which we just phased out, we introduced the world's most energy and water efficient lineup. And what we're really happy to say is today we're introducing something that's even more energy efficient, more effective, more convenient, and really untethers the end user to so many of the processes that were involved with dishwashing previously. So as we're kind of moving into looking at the new technology, the thing I want to remind everyone about is how we arrived here, because I think it's really important that we look historically, but then take a snapshot and see what we're doing specifically, to develop such an incredible dishwasher. We always start with the foundation of quality and then build out by saying we're going to create purposeful innovation rather than hollow gimmicks. We're going to use that to drive perfect hygienic results through effortless operation and always a forward-thinking, brilliant design. So again, we can create this limitless dishwasher with so many incredible innovations. Now, speaking of the foundations of quality, some of the inherent intrinsic value we have is really important to recognize, because Miele doesn't build down to a price point or start introducing our entry level last. In fact, all of our dishwashers share a core competency where about 60% of the production of any of these dishwashers is completed before it even knows whether it's going to be the entry level G71 or whether it's going to be the top of the line, the G79 series. So again, always going to be a foundation of quality before we start building in anything additionally in terms of features and highlights. But of course, as we get to the highlights here, we'll talk about AutoDose, the world's first completely automatic detergent dispensing system. Now, Miele isn't the first company to think about this, because over 50 different companies historically have failed to bring this patent to fruition. The reason Miele was successful in doing so is, if you think back to our timeline earlier, you remember we introduced a whole host of care products earlier in the 2000s. And through development of that, and continued to try to improve upon the processes, the machines, and of course the care products, we were able to develop something that works in harmony with each other. So the reason we were first to bring a successful patent is because we developed both the machine and the detergent. So the power disc you see, which fuels AutoDose, is a granulated powder detergent which will automatically rotate and dispense into the cavity whenever you select a program. But it goes a little bit deeper than that. The disc itself will last about 20 cycles, or what we say is approximately 1 month. And the reason we can't pinpoint that is because it's all dependent on the end user. Commensurate with the program will be the amount of detergent we dispense. So if you're choosing a China and Crystal program and you entertain frequently, your power disc is probably going to last a little bit longer. Whereas if you're doing heavy pots and pans, it will have to dispense more detergent per cycle, and thus you'll run out of detergent a little bit faster. The incredible thing about this is that it's not just one aspect. It's not just about creating the dishwasher and it indiscriminately sprays in detergent. It's that it actually does it not just based on the program, but if you choose the automatic program, our sensors, which detect how many dishes you're putting in and how dirty the dishes are, will actually create a customized experience for that particular load. This is really something that's so incredible if you think about how much technology has to come into play, but then also how it affects so much within the dishwasher when you have this automatic system. Now, it's not just enough to have the detergent be convenient. It also has to be effective. Now, in terms of what you're seeing on the screen here, what we're looking at is a certification from the Rheinval University of Applied Sciences. And Rheinval is used typically not just in Germany, although that's where they're based. It's used to certify internationally the effectiveness of your sanitization or your hygiene standards. Now, most manufacturers will submit their machines to be certified in the hygiene cycle. With Miele, what's so significant about the certification you're seeing is that this is for our quick intense cycle. Our cycle in under 1 hour is able to remove more than 99.99% of bacteria when you're using a Miele machine with a Miele detergent. So if you're using the power disc, this is how you'll achieve these results. But moreover, if you were someone who chose the entry level of the lineup, which does not feature AutoDose, that's okay. A Miele Ultra tab will still get you the same cleanliness, because both the tab and our powdered detergent are the same in terms of their cleaning properties. It's just simply a few different variations in terms of its application. To go a little bit further though, what's significant here is that it's not just, okay, it's going to have this detergent that's already there. It'll predetermine how much is needed based on the program we choose. And then of course we get these incredible results, but we wanted to go a step further. The purposeful innovation now is really influencing app capability. Now, while app capability isn't new to any dishwasher manufacturer in most cases, the reality is, what was the usefulness? What was the purpose of the app if I still had to preload a detergent into the machine? Because if I'm already at the machine, couldn't have I used a delay start timer? With Miele, what's significant is that we can utilize a timer setting in the app capability because the detergent's already loaded in the machine for up to a month. So we can essentially create a schedule and we can manage everything through the app. So imagine if I work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. I can have the machine automatically start at 10 a.m. every day, so it's finished in plenty of time before I get home. And moreover, I can start utilizing programs that can actually influence savings, whether my interest is ecological or whether it's just saving money. I can run things like an eco program, which will minimize the amount of water and energy I'm using. And again, even if the cycle takes hours long, I'm not returning home from work for several hours. So setting up this weekly calendar gives me a lot of tertiary benefits beyond just the convenience factor. Ultimately, again, really unique to Miele, but not the only innovation we have. Here we see, of course, we've completely redesigned our interior. From the top down, our cutlery tray once again gets a significant update where now we'll work on two different access points. The left side of the cutlery tray allows me to slide left and right so I can accommodate things like champagne flutes, tall stemware. And then on the right side, we have the ability to adjust up and down. The adjustment up and down would let me do things like shallow ramekins or espresso cups, or just so I can meet the height of the central area of the cutlery tray where I can put in really large kitchen utensils, whisks, things that I was using in preparation for a meal. And then of course, as we move into the lower area, we'll see a lot of different accommodations that are being made. Specifically, it's limitless in terms of what we can accommodate and how flexible this dishwasher is. I would say across the board, there is some significant updates and innovations, which we'll kind of talk about, a little bit more in terms of follow-up resources and information so you can access this, because I know in a 30-minute presentation, I'm going to throw a lot of information at you, but I want to make sure you have something that you can come back to later. So we'll talk about some follow-up resources at the end to give you a bit more. Now, of course, we want to talk about design because that's a really significant part of the Miele equation. Now, we'll separate this into a few different items. We'll talk about our custom panel as well as our pre-finished options. Now, in terms of the custom panel, we have handleless applications with our knock-to-open dishwashers. This allows for seamless integration and a minimalistic view so that there's no interruption to whatever your design concept and aesthetic might be in that particular kitchen. On the flip side, you also have the ability to have handle applications or applications where you're revealing where the dishwasher would be through either front-facing controls or through a handle. Either way, you can accomplish both with a Miele dishwasher. In addition to that, you'll also have pre-finished options. This allows you to affix a clean touch steel right out of the box, so you can just simply place the dishwasher in, fasten, secure, and because of our clean touch steel, it meets in uniformly with our fleet design strategy. Additionally, if you had purchased a panel ready dishwasher and were opting for clean touch steel, all of those options are available. In terms of our control panels, you have three different variations really. The first one we'll talk about is direct select, which follows more of a traditional design aspect. To toggle through programs, you'll simply press the program button, which will continuously move that light from left to right. And then if we get to the more icon, we just simply navigate through the up and down arrows. Extremely easy, very intuitive. When we move to the next series, you'll see with the G73s, we now go to something called direct sensor. Now, the logic behind it is the same, the interaction is a little different. With this, it's really just a more sophisticated design that allows us to directly press sensor keys rather than toggling with the button. The other thing that you'll notice about this particular entry into the assortment is we now have two options that were not on the previous generation, which would be the remote capabilities, because we now have app functionality, and we also have auto dose. And remember, those two things marry into one another. So again, it's a really holistic approach to why the feature sets are introduced at specific points in time. As we go to the G75 series, everything remains the same in terms of interaction. This just gives us a little bit of differentiation because we'll have different accommodations within the basket configuration, as well as interior lighting. So some new changes that occur within the lineup, but again, the interaction's the same, it's just the layout looks a little bit different. So again, very similar in terms of the application. And then lastly, we have our highlight interface. This is our M-Touch technology. For those that are familiar with our built-in appliances, you probably have seen a significant popularity in this versus anything else we offer. M-Touch technology gives Miele incredible haptics and reaction through direct interaction with the screen. So you'll press it just like you press your smartphone, your tablet, you'll scroll, swipe, or tap to choose any of your programs. What's even better is, because Miele makes all of our electronics, it's designed forward, meaning that there is a specific order of operations in order for you to go from choosing your program to marrying in different options, and everything is very intuitive and linear in terms of starting a particular program. We've made some adjustments and variations to how you affix a panel nowadays, which is probably significant in terms of the application to the audience here on the call today. In terms of affixing a custom panel, it's pretty simple and straightforward in terms of how it works and operates. But rather than what we used in the past, which was the Miele H bracket, we're going to use a linear bar bracket that will affix to the top of the dishwasher, and then that will be supported through a couple of hook mechanisms. In short, this allows for fine tuning when you need to make final adjustments after the panel is affixed, and you can do that really easily and conveniently. Now, all of our dishwashers will come with a disposable template, but for those that have repeated business that you do with Miele, or perhaps a preferred vendor for installation, we would ask that you contact the Miele technical service team, where you can get a reusable template good for all G7000 models. And it makes, again, if you're doing repeated business or you're doing multiple installations, this definitely creates a tremendous convenience. Now, we've also, beyond creating all these great storylines in terms of innovations and highlights, I think it's also really important to understand some of the technical developments, because again, when we lower water and energy consumption, that's one thing, but then we go a step further. So in terms of the drain filter, because we're using less water, if you're familiar with Miele's previous generation, this is a big departure because we needed to improve the amount of surface area. It still operates the same way in a triple filter system, so you're really breaking down everything very well into the drain area. But the long and short is, because of how we wanted to reuse the efficiency levels, we've changed that design. In the spray arm, we also changed the design significantly to make sure we can achieve great results, and so that we can dimensionally hit different points in the dishwasher with extreme accuracy. So this polypropylene arm really gives us significant functional benefit in terms of cleanliness. As we go into the circulation pump, this is another item that we really wanted to make sure that we once again improved, and there's no better opportunity than when you're relaunching, if you will, a lineup of dishwashers. For us, our circulation pump is hemispheric, which means that the impellers and the motors essentially can be isolated from one another if any servicing or replacement had to occur. But in addition to that, you'll also notice that small black device at the top. This is what we call a retaining mechanism. And that rubber retainer means that every time the impeller or motor turns on, that vibration will not translate to the dishwasher itself, which means our decibel levels for any of our normal programs have actually dropped. In addition to that, you see the EcoPower technology that actually is a great many different things, but what we're looking at on the screen is just one example with our new water inlet mixer, which again allows for heat transfer, if you will, as it rests against the cavity wall, just giving again much more significant energy efficiency level than ever achieved on the market prior. So coming full circle back to what we were talking about, I wanted to give a little bit of an idea on, again, starting with that foundation of quality. You start to notice that there's now a lot of features listed under each of the major categories. And the reason for that is I just wanted to illustrate that while we gave a hyper overview of some of the overarching themes within G7000, there's a significant more that you can find out and learn. And again, I'll be talking about resources in just a moment that give us a little bit more information into this. In terms of how you differentiate models, there's also a significant understanding in terms of making sure we build a core competency. So you don't have to start speaking two languages when you move up to a certain price point or a certain feature set. All you have to do is simply add on to what existed prior. In terms of our pyramid, if you will, that you're looking at, you'll notice that the G71 series has our bullet points, which really solidify all of the different items which contribute to the core competency of this lineup. Then as we move to the 73, 75, and 79 series, respectively, you'll notice that there's plus symbols. That's because everything that was previously mentioned when you were at the base of the pyramid and moving up is included in addition to those items. And then, of course, you can see very low decibel ratings across the board, whether you're talking about the entry into the lineup with the G71 all the way up through the G79. In addition, we've also made the assortment a lot more linear, a little bit more easily identified. In particular, we've eliminated black and white dishwashers because ultimately at the price point Miele is at, we're really not motivating clients with that type of finish. If they want black or white, they're probably mixing in with their cabinetry so they get a custom panel. In addition to that, you'll also notice that all of our models have an SC to start the suffix, which represents a third rack cutlery tray, separate cutlery. With this, of course, you'll have no more basket models in the lineup because, again, that's what consumer evidence bore out. So ultimately, what we're seeing is that we're going to have our stainless steel or panel ready options with a third cutlery tray across the board. And then, of course, we also have our power discs available in single count as well as 6-packs. So touching on just a few of the resources that are available, I think this is the most significant because what I'm talking about today is a lot of information, and I'm sure I'm just throwing things at you that might go in one ear out the other, not because the audience can't retain information, just because there's a lot coming at you. So in terms of resources, we'll look at a couple items. First, of course, we have our Miele e-learning site. This is a rich 3D environment that lets you navigate through different hotspots located within the site, allow you to select a particular module. So as it relates today, if we continue to kind of navigate through, we see the G7000 dishwashers located there. And within that, if we select this, a pop-up then appears, which allows us to navigate a course and find out all additional information and get hyper looks at all the different feature sets within this lineup. In addition, please try to remember this because it's significantly important. If you're looking for anything spec, CAD drawing, manuals, documents, go to mieleusa.com/A&D. And as you can see right here in our specifications library, highlighted right there is dishwashers, and all of our G7000 dishwashers are already populated with all the reference material that you can use. In addition, our greatest resource is always going to be our people. And with that, we have 10 experience centers across the US, but specifically local should be the Bellevue Miele Experience Center. The manager there is Trisha Bitchart. And if you're looking to email her, you can set up an appointment so she can help your clients either virtually or in person when it's applicable. But ultimately, it's an opportunity to see anything within the Miele assortment, even beyond our dishwashers. They can see every product that we have available, and they can, of course, experience it for themselves. And this is a satellite showroom. It's an extension of your business. It's an extension of where you are showing your clients your particular specialty. That's really what we're doing. So ultimately, I would highly recommend that you also leverage that opportunity.
Wow, Jared, that is amazing. Thank you. I have to say that was probably one of the most streamlined, smooth presentations that I have heard in all of coronavirus. So well done. Bravo.
Thank you.
No, all the questions that I had that came into my mind as you were going through, you answered through the presentation. Diane, is there anything in the Q&A box?
There's only one because Jared, you just killed it. Like there's nothing left, right?
I don't know.
Magdalena is wondering, do you provide SketchUp files to plug in into your models? So do you have on the website, I'm assuming you have symbols that can be downloaded into SketchUp?
I'm sorry?
So do you have SketchUp symbols that can be downloaded into, drawings?
Yeah, we have, so there's a few different varieties and options depending on your particular application. So the best thing to do is if you're on that, again, mieleusa.com/AND, representing architect and design. If you're on there and you're not seeing something that you need, whatever the reference is or whatever particular program or application you have, please do me a favor. When I say if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them. That's in perpetuity. It never expires. So if you have something and you need to reach out to the local center, to me, to anyone on the team nationally, we're happy to get in contact and make sure that our specifications department can get those things for you. So I'm pretty sure that's already populated in the A&D page, but if not, by all means, please reach out. We're happy to assist.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Jared. Does
anybody have anything? Because I don't see anything else.
No, it just blew it out of the park.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's impressive.
Thank you. And thank you for hosting. Honestly, we sincerely appreciate the opportunity, and we thank everyone for their time, attention. Please stay safe and be healthy. But thank you so much to Hannah and Diane for supporting this little module.
Yeah, and we also want to thank you and Miele for being a supporting member of the NKBA Puget Sound chapter.
Definitely.
We appreciate your
Thank you so
sponsorship.
much.
It's our pleasure. Thank you.